Hey everyone, this is your girl Sharifa, aka Shree, and welcome to the I'm Good podcast, or in better words, the I Feel Good podcast. If you are new here, welcome to the family. This is a podcast where I explore topics on mental health, physical health, nutrition, and everything in between. So if you're trying to get right and stay right mentally, this is definitely the place you want to be. And wait, before I begin, here's some quick info. Why did I name this podcast I'm Good? Simple. Because as people, from a cultural standpoint, whether we are down or happy, our favorite response to friends, families, or strangers is I'm good, even if we're not. It's completely normal not to feel happy all the time, but in the midst of whatever you go through, the saying I'm good can elaborate to so many different meanings. So yes, this is the place to be, whether you are down, happy, excited, and everything in between. I'm here to dish out knowledge, talk about current topics, and of course, lift you up. So feel free to go ahead and subscribe, share this podcast, leave a review, and tell a friend. Now let's go ahead and get started on today's show. Hey guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And let me explain to you really quick. First of all, for starters, it's free. Yes, I said it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And I know most of you guys have a phone or computer, so it's so easy. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So make sure you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the I'm Good podcast. If you are new here, or what's good, what's poppin', thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. Listen, if this is your first time here, stay for a while, listen to this full episode. There are plenty more episodes to listen to. So listen, whatever you're doing, whether you're driving, washing dishes, going for a walk, stay for a while. I got you covered, okay? And for my I'm Good fam, what's good, what's poppin'? Thank you so much for tuning in to each episode each week. If you missed an episode and you're just now catching up, it doesn't matter. I appreciate it all. So thank you to everyone who has tuned in, check out the I'm Good podcast, who have listened to these episodes. And I hope, as always, I hope that each week that you guys are able to take something from each podcast and able to apply it to your life. And if you're not able to apply it to your life, maybe down the road, you're able to apply it. Or maybe there's someone that you know, someone that you love, or whoever it may be that you feel like would be, maybe there's someone that you feel that would benefit, from this information, from this podcast. So as always, I always have to express gratitude. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Cause listen, y'all are popping, okay? My I'm Good fam, y'all are popping. And my new listeners, you're popping too. If you're listening to this, you're popping. That's on period. Okay. Also, too, do not forget to go ahead and check out www.allthingsshree.com and use your special promo code I'm Good fam to get 10% off your entire order. If you're not aware of, yes, you guessed it, that is my online store where we have apparel that is meant for people who it's meant for the confident, boss-minded, and faith-driven. So even if you're not confident, it's meant to help you to become more confident. Like I said, no one is perfect. None of us are perfect, but we can do things to help us become better and feel better. So that's why we speak affirmations. We talk about all those things to help us to get to where we need to be mentally. Also, too, if you are listening to this on an Apple device, so iPhone, MacBook, iPad, whatever, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. A rating or review, or if you want to do both, that's fine. A rating takes really quick. You just literally click in stars. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. That's another way, if you ever want to show love to this podcast, that is a way to show love and to, show your appreciation for these podcast episodes. Make sure you go ahead and leave a rating. If you also want to leave a review, go ahead and do that. Yes, go ahead and do that. Like I said, this is if you have an Apple podcast. Now, if you are listening to this, because I know I have listeners that listen to the I'm Good podcast on, tons of different podcast platforms. So that's fine as well. So if you're listening to this on like another platform, that's fine. Feel free, whatever platform you're using it on, whether it's Spotify. There's so many podcast platforms, and I know so many podcast platforms. And I know with the I'm Good podcast, we are pretty much everywhere. So you name it. We're on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. This podcast is literally everywhere. So if you're not listening to this on the Apple Podcast, that's okay. You can still leave a rating and review on whatever platform that you're listening to. Also, too, don't forget to go ahead and check out our midweek roll call. For my new listeners, you might be like, "What's that?" The midweek roll call is when I speak affirmations every Wednesday. So that's to help you get you over the hump of the week. So I release those every single Wednesday. Listen, y'all, every single Wednesday. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out the midweek roll call to get your weekly dose of affirmations. And also, too, make sure you guys go ahead and share this podcast. You can share it on your social media. You can share it with your friends, whatever it may be. Go ahead and share this podcast. And I know I always say it, and I'm going to keep saying it. Yes, the Instagram that we have is going to get up and running. It's still there, so you can still follow the Instagram for this podcast, which is the I'm Good podcast. There are different things that I am going to be working on with that Instagram, But right now, I think the last post I did was, the last post I made, Yes. So don't worry, y'all. A lot of things have been transitioning in my life. So I will definitely be back on there and getting things up to speed. But in the meantime, if you are listening to this podcast, make sure you guys go ahead and follow me on Instagram at I'm Good Podcast, period. And you will find me right there. So yes, let's get started on today's show. So, I wanted to bring back a topic of mental detox. I know that was one of my popular episodes. It was a mental detox, the benefits of juicing. I think it was called the benefits of juicing. I forgot what episode number that was, but I want to bring back like the topic of mental detox, but I want to talk about it from a healing perspective. So, I feel like, the word healing, we don't really hear about it so much. I mean, we might hear about it like in biblical or religious terms, but, healing is something that a lot of people don't talk about, especially with this, the age of, social media. I mean, Instagram, you're supposed to show the highlight of your life. Like, you're supposed to show, the good stuff. So 9 times out of 10, most people are not showing the bad stuff. I mean, there are some people that will show the bad, but generally speaking, you're showing the highlights of your life, your birthdays, you going out of town, you're eating a good food. You're not showing the other parts of your life. But I want to talk about 10, let me see, do I have 10 today? I want to talk about 7 signs that show that you are healing. So you may already be healed from whatever it may be. Like I said, let's not think deep. It doesn't have to be deep. Healing could be from anything. You could be healing from a friendship. Well, that is kind of deep. Healing from friendship, breakup, whatever it may be. But it doesn't have to be that deep. So when I'm talking about signs of healing today or you being healed, don't think of it being like that deep, okay? But it is still deep, if that makes sense. So I want to talk about 7 signs that show that you are on the path of being healed. And or 7 signs that you are healing. So like I said, this is not like to get too deep in regards to healing and things like that. But this is just to kind of show you like, okay, wait, maybe I am on the right path of, living more intentionally and living more out my purpose. So let's get to it. So the first sign in regards to showing, the first sign of healing would be, well, that doesn't even make sense. Let me reword that. So I'm going to be talking about the 7 signs that show that you are healing. So the first sign is for yourself is that you might be recognizing that there is less outside noise. And what do I mean by that? Basically, not so much like you're hearing noise, but when a lot is going on and too much is going on and your mind is like, you just kind of like, you're just everywhere. that means you need to slow down. If everything is just, when it's just like chaos, it's just so much outside chaos. And like, I know for me, like even like a couple months ago or whatever, I just kind of felt like me personally, I just felt like I was being pulled in every direction. I felt like I was doing so much for everybody, but I wasn't doing nothing for myself. It was like I was doing this, and that. But I mean, I'm like, what am I doing for myself? I felt like there was so much outside noise going on, like so much outside noise that I couldn't even hear myself within. So, the one sign that shows that you are healing is when you have less outside chaos, so less noise. So when you start to notice, like within yourself or whatever, like you feel like there's not so much outside, or so many people want to pull you here, there, and there. A lot of times that shows that you're kind of slowly, gradually, whatever you want to say, that you are healing and becoming more one with yourself. So that's the first sign, is that you're recognizing that there is less outside chaos. And as I go through these as well, the different signs that you are healing, you might, because even for me, as I wrote these down and even looked these up, I started recognizing, like, sometimes, like, as I go through these, you might be like, wait, I never thought about this as being healing. And like, even me, I was reading some of this stuff and I was like, okay, these are some things that I've been doing right now lately, but I never really recognized it as being healing. So that's another reason why I brought it to the podcast, because I think with healing, we think of it being sometimes deeper than what it is, not realizing that we are already on the path of healing and becoming one with ourselves. So the second one is a second sign that you are healing is that you're okay with being with yourself. So you don't feel the need to have to be around friends constantly. You don't feel the need to have to constantly be around, whether if you're in a relationship, like your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever it may be. I know it could be a little different, obviously, if you're living with the person. But even if you're in a relationship, if you're married or whatever it may be, if you're okay with being yourself, being with yourself and being yourself, that is a sign that you are healing. So, like I said, in a relationship, that is a little bit different, because not so much, I would say, but I guess in a relationship, it's a little different, because if you're with somebody, especially if you're married or you're living with each other, you're going to be around that person. But I mean, even if you're in a relationship, you're okay with some me time, if that makes sense. So you're okay with stepping away. You don't necessarily always need that man or a woman, to be around you, the boy or girl, whatever, to be around you. You're okay with spending some time by yourself. So, and if you're a single person and you don't have anybody, so that's a sign you're okay with being with yourself and being yourself. So you're okay with being who you are. And like I say, like I talk about all the time, I think, especially with social media, and this is something that I have to check myself with as well, is like, I catch myself sometimes, like even on Instagram, like my own personal Instagram is like, okay, am I doing this because everybody else is doing this? Or am I buying this because everybody else is buying this? Or am I talking like this because everybody else is talking like this? Like, I mean, honestly, like even me, this is kind of funny, but the word period, I got that from the City Girls. I mean, so, and I mean, that's still myself, because I'm still, 100, like, period. That's me, like, period. Like, that type of slang, because even if there is slang out there, I'm not going to use all slang. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to use slang that resonates with me, and period is one of them. So, but yeah, so the second sign that you are healing is that you're okay with being with yourself and being yourself. The third sign is you start to practice self-love. So you're creating a routine for yourself. So whether that means you have a night routine where you wash your face, take a bath, bubble bath, whatever it may be. For my fellas, because I know I have men listen to this, whatever it may be for you, you start to notice that you're practicing self-love and self-care. So if that means listen to a podcast, reading a book on self-help, or whatever it may be, you start to take care of yourself. Yes, you may have other responsibilities, whether it be kids, a family, or if you're single, which is an awesome time to really, 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 really embrace who you are. Practicing self-love can also be a sign that you are healing. So I think it is important. I mean, there is a lot of information out there about self-love and self-care, but I still feel like there's not enough. Now, there is, like I said, there is a lot of information, but not enough. But just like anything, if there's something that you're interested in, you just have to kind of go and find it. Just like this podcast, 9 times out of 10, if this is not your type of podcast or your thing, you would have been turning this off. And you would have, that's what I love about my listeners is that clearly you want to be here. Like, not even on no, like, cocky way or anything like that. But I listen to podcasts that resonate with me. Like me, I love, like, Eric Thomas' podcast. It's a self-development podcast. I love stuff like that. Some other people, like even my friends and stuff like that, they may not like Eric Thomas. And that's okay. So, whatever self-love or self-care means to you, practicing self-love is another sign, that you are healing, or is another way to become healed. The fourth one on my list is you might find that you are more at peace with yourself, or more at peace within. Let me put it like that. So you might find that you have more inner peace. Okay, so not so much outer peace, because outer peace could be external, like you clean your room and everything is organized and your clothes are organized. Okay, that's fine. But what we're going to focus on today, we're talking about the inner. So you might find that you have more inner peace. Your spirit is more quiet. You're listening more. And inner peace, I don't care what nobody says, inner peace overrides anything else. Because once and this is something I keep trying to tell myself, once you figure out within and get within right, your external is going to come out of your external. I mean, it just will. So, I think a lot of times we do the opposite. We work on the external piece thinking that's going to help our internal. And then it doesn't. We wonder why we're so sad. Because working on external, yes, it's fine, but you really have to work on the inner. And that's why you find people that go to therapy and things like that, because, you might have $1 million in the bank account, whatever, this and that, but something is still eating you up inside, because you have to work on the inner piece. And that's why you see sometimes some people where, especially people that do yoga, I will say that, where you sometimes just see some like energies of people and they just seem so at peace and just so calm at life. And they may not have everything. They may not live in the biggest place or whatever, but you can just tell they are at peace. And that's what inner peace is. I don't know these people's lives, but you can really feel somebody's energy. And that's something I told myself. It's like, money is not everything. And yes, money can take care of bills. Money can take care of a lot. But what if you had a whole lump sum of money and you were still unhappy and you still... No. So my thing for me, I just answer myself, is that, you have to really you have to do the inner work, because the inner work, once you do the inner work, it will come out in the outer. Like once you literally do the inner work, that goes for exercising, even though technically you're exercising, if you're losing abdominal fat, whatever, maybe you're losing fat, that's the external, but exercising really deals with the internal. And the result is what you're doing internally is helping the external. So, really working on the internal, working on inner peace, and just, really figuring out what it is that you want out of life, not what someone else wants out of life for you. That is not it. Wrong path to go down. I've been down that path, I would say, do what makes your soul happy, do what makes your heart smile. If that means feeling like a kid again, that's like the best feeling like a kid again. You have to honestly, do what makes you happy. Like, I think we live such busy lives. We take care of so many people. It's just so many people are pulling us in different directions. Oftentimes it's hard for us to focus on ourselves, but, practicing inner peace and, noticing that you have more peace within is definitely a sign that you're on the road to healing, or you're healed. So some of these things that I may be talking about, you may have already healed from that, or you're already doing those things, but, inner peace is so important. Inner peace does not does not get the love that external peace gets, or external anything, because external could be clothes, whatever. External is cars, money. That's external, honey. Money is external. You don't have dollar signs inside your body or nothing like that. No, that doesn't even make sense. But you get what I'm saying. Like, that's external. But what you really want to focus on is inner. And that's what healing is. Healing is you're healing the inner. You're not healing the outer. You're healing yourself within. So y'all know I love going my little rants. But that's what this podcast is for. And this is what I'm here for, to give you a rant. Number 5, another sign that you are healing is you might notice that you're not reacting as much. Things that you used to react to, listen, that's something I had to learn with even relationships. Like, whatever it may be, boyfriend, friend, whatever it may be. Like I said, just for me, it could be boyfriend at the time, ex-boyfriend, whatever it may be. One sign that you are healing, or, you're doing the work to be healed, is that you find that you're not reacting as much. You find that things that ticked you off, you like, okay. And it's not even a crazy okay, because there are crazy okay. When somebody tick you off, you're like, okay. Like, there's a TikTok that said, I'm going to let God handle it, because if I handle it, I'm going to jail. Like, I mean, that's the truth for a lot of people, and that's quick reacting. So, you might find that, if you know something that you're not as reactive, that's a good thing. That is a very good thing. And I think sometimes that gets a bad rep, like, geesh, like, or people might look at you, look crazy, like, yo, she used to always react, or he used to always react, like, what's going on now? But reacting doesn't really, quick reactions, I will tell you this right now, doesn't really solve anything. The best thing to do, whatever it may be, even if it's something good, well, we're talking about healing. So, we won't talk about the good reacting. But let me put it like this. So, even if somebody offers you an opportunity or whatever it may be, you don't always have to react right away. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that recently, was that just because the opportunity is presented to you, you don't necessarily have to react right away. And for me, it's because I have such a big heart, I'm just very I have such a big heart, and I'm an honest person, but I also don't like to hurt feelings. So, hey, y'all, it could be, I'm a Pisces. Where my Pisces at? Okay. I'm a Pisces. I'm a water sign. So, so sometimes it's hard for me to not respond right away, if that makes sense. But for the purposes of today's podcast episode, I'm talking about less reacting to negative things, whatever. So if you find that you're not as reactive to things, that is a good thing. So you don't always have to respond right away. Sometimes you need to take a deep breath. Sometimes whether it means you texting somebody, take a break, don't even text them back. Shut off your phone. Do what you have to do to make sure that you get yourself in order. Number 6 on my list is another sign that you are healing is you're more observant. I feel like a lot of times when we're living in chaos and our mind is everywhere, we're not observant. That's why a lot of times when we're everywhere, whether that means you could be going out to the club and drinking and you drunk and all that, obviously that diminishes all types of mental mind skills, whatever you need. But basically, you're not as observant. So when you're sober minded, you can, a lot of times you're more observant. You can see things, you can see who's behind you, blah, blah, blah. But, basically becoming more observant is another way or another sign that you are healing. So you might notice patterns about you that you need to fix. You might notice patterns about a certain person that you may have not noticed before, where you necessarily don't like it. Just becoming observant is really, really a great tool to use. Because when you become observant, and I'm saying this for yourself too, so be observant to things you need to work on. Like I said, none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. But we're all on a path to become better people, a better person, whatever it may be. But, becoming more observant. If there's something that if someone always makes you feel a way or whatever, and you seem like you always kind of like, oh, no, that's just person just like that. But you start to become more observant and you realize that's not what you want to be around. Listen, it's okay. It's your life. Honestly, and that's the thing about it, is like, it's so crazy. It's like the people that I now listen to, I've been listening to for a while, but a lot of people who are like on this whole journey of just like, overall self-care, self-love, and just finding themselves and just becoming the best them. A lot of these people keep saying the same thing. Like, as they go through this journey, they realize all the people that they used to be around, they don't have a big crowd of people to hang around anymore. And even for me, like, I'll be honest, like, for me, it's like, I feel like I used to hang around like a big crowd. Maybe not a huge crowd, but I did have like kind of a crowd. And it seems like as I'm getting not so much older, but as my mind is becoming sharper and I have a sharper vision or clear vision of where I want to go, I feel like things are slowly getting cut off. And it's not a bad cut off. It's more of a cut off for me to get to my destiny. So, being more observant is a wonderful thing. You could be being more observant with your behaviors, your reactions, being more observant about your surroundings, where you go to, and people around you or people you deal with. So, so number 6 on my list is being more observant is another sign that you are healing. And then the last one, number 7, in regards to signs that you are healing, is you have now set boundaries. So, setting boundaries, like I said, is so important. Me, once again, I am a Pisces, a water sign. Like, my water signs, listen, y'all know. So I don't, like I said, I'm into, I am into horoscopes to some horoscopes. Well, yeah, horoscopes, zodiac signs to some extent. I am into them, whatever. So I do kind of be reading into them, but not like heavily crazy, but I be reading into them, if you know what I mean. But I be reading into them. So yes, yeah. But so for me, you have to set boundaries. And the reason why I had mentioned that I was a Pisces, whatever, is because, like, for me, I'm very like I said, like, I feel like I do have a big heart. And I feel like once you basically, so I have, like, my thing is I have a big heart. Like, 9 times out of 10, I give my heart out, and, I try to, like, show everybody grace and, show love, whatever. But it's like, once you kind of, like, do something wrong, after a while, and I'm just, like, at a certain point where I'm just, like, I'm not about to play we'll say Bobo the clown. I'm not about to be Fufu the clown, whatever. Then that's when I'm like, you know what? I need to just draw back from, whatever situation is or person, whatever it may be. So for me, it is sometimes hard for me to set boundaries because I am the person where I'm like, oh, I want shiny roses and sunlight and marshmallows and unicorns floating around. But I'm realizing I can have that. But sometimes you need to let certain situations go in order for you to have the real unicorns and stuff like that. So for me, like, I'm always like, I want, and like I said, sometimes it can cause conflict. Let me put it like that. So when you do set boundaries, it can sometimes cause conflict, especially if someone's used to you always being like the yes person, like, hey girl, can you go out? Yes. But then all of a sudden you start saying no, and just because you say no to a person or whatever it may be is not always necessarily them. Sometimes you just have to work on your own self. And I had to learn that, like, even like my own friends and stuff like that, just because someone says no, don't always take it, offense to you. Sometimes that person just knows they need to work on themselves, or maybe they're not as happy, whatever it may be. But setting boundaries is so important. And like I said, it's something that I'm still working on. It's not easy. For some people, it come easy. Some people are okay with, like, oh no, or this is my boundary, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. But for me, I'm a little different. I mean, I'm pretty good with setting boundaries, but sometimes, I just, like I said, I'm very just like, oh, hey, whatever, this and that. But once you start setting boundaries, that gives you place to control your environment, to control your feelings, to control what needs to be controlled in order for you to live a peaceful life. So those are 7 signs or 7 tips to show, those are 7 signs that show that you are healing. Like I said, when I wrote these down, writing these down, I'm like, oh, I never really thought about these as being signs of healing. But, like I said, healing, the word healing is not really used that much. I don't really find that word so much. I would say I find it more in religious terms and spiritual terms, stuff like that. But I want to talk about, like I said today, 7 signs. I want to talk about 7 tips or 7 signs that you are healing. Because listen, y'all, we on a journey of self-care, self-love, happiness, feeling right, looking right, doing right, and being the best person that we can be. So you already know the vibe over here. Let me stop. So, all right. So this week's quote of the week is kind of long, but I found this quote on Pinterest and I love it. And I saved it as a pen because I love it so much. But here's it actually really is really good because it relates to the whole process of healing. But this quote of the week is, never wish them pain. That's not who you are. If they cause you pain, they must have pain inside. Wish them healing. Let me repeat that again. Never wish them pain. That's not who you are. If they cause you pain, they must have pain inside. Wish them healing. Listen, y'all. Y'all hear those snaps? Listen, I feel like I'm at a poetry slam. I found that on Pinterest. Listen, shout out to whoever wrote that or came up with that because I was like, yes. But all right, I'm good, fam. You already know what time it is. We are now at the end of this week's show. And I hope this information was helpful, insightful, and everything in between. Do not forget to go ahead. Yes, do not forget to go ahead and click that subscribe button. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Share this podcast on your social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. Leave a review and tell a friend. Thank you guys once again. Shout out to y'all. If you made it to the end of the podcast, you are a real one. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see all of you beautiful people next week. Bye-bye.